Hi there. Welcome to the Fair Game Podcast. We're here at the beautiful Light and Wonder Studios, and today we're having a special 10th anniversary edition episode. So I am an unfamiliar face to you. My name is Shannon Call, and I am the coordinator at Global Gaming Women. This is my first time on the Fair Game Podcast, so please, ladies, go easy on me.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I am joined today by Cecily Leeman, Anika Howard, and Bronwen Gregg. And because this is our 10th episode of the season, the idea here is for me to talk to you ladies about your experiences with GGW, what the last 10 years have meant to you, what they've looked like, and celebrate our 10th year anniversary. So for those of you that don't know, I'm extremely new to gaming. I started with GGW in August. And I come from restaurants and nonprofits and a varied jungle gym of a career, as Bronwen likes to say. So can you tell me a little bit about your history in general in gaming and with GGW? Cecily?
Sure. So my journey in gaming started in 2018, actually. I had been in technology prior to that, moved into technology within gaming. I was kind of I guess what they call like a fair weather member, right? I was attending the master classes, very behind the scenes, didn't do a whole lot, wasn't really involved. And then I went to the W conference. And I can attest to the fact that, shout out to Anne. She is one of the most inspiring women I have ever sat in a room with. Somehow she said the words, "You don't grow in your comfort zone." And that stuck with me.
Ooh, that's good.
And that's actually where I met Bronwen, was at that conference. And yeah, ever since then, like Lean In circles opened up and I was like, I'm just going to sign up to be a member. No, they're looking for moderators. Okay, fine. I'll take a leap out of my comfort zone. A year later, took over the Lean In program and started supporting that from a coaching perspective. Year after that, started supporting the podcast and then took over the Lean In programming as a whole. Just kind of continued to be involved in the background in some way, shape, or form. I guess you could say I drank the Kool-Aid, but yeah, so it's been an extremely rewarding adventure and really big over the last 4 years.
4 years. Awesome. Anika?
My journey is much, much longer. So I'm not going to say the year, but I've been with Global Gaming Women for some time. I remember my introduction. I think it was through Eileen Moore. So at that time, Eileen Moore was, I think, potentially on the board. And she's one of the very first people and friends that I've met in gaming. Like we were cube mates, like in our baby years in gaming. And she was just so passionate about it, about all the things that they were doing, and pulled me into the fold for that. And I never looked back. I became, kind of in addition to the conferences, in addition to the Patty Becker Kick Up Your Heels, which was really predated a lot of the work that of the kind of official Global Gaming Women organization, just all of those things, and having a fellowship of women, and then joining first as a board member and kind of get a chance to work with Eileen on the board and work with so many of just my mentors and women that I admired so much, and finishing my tenure up and rolling over to the advisory board, but also kind of before that, getting an opportunity to be part of this Global Gaming Women Fair Game podcast, which is amazing, which has evolved into things that we didn't anticipate. We were just really trying to find opportunities to connect with women and to have a different format to do. And just a number of us were having the same idea together. And it's just evolved, I think, into something much, much beyond anything that we expected it to be. So I'm glad to have both of you here in studio with me. And I'm just excited to see what the next 10 years will bring.
Awesome. Thank you. Bronwen, finish this out. What are we doing?
So I've been in gaming and also a part of Global Gaming Women for 6 years. They actually coincided. Global Gaming Women is really the reason that I'm in this industry. When I moved to Las Vegas in 2020, and before that, I've been doing mostly technology and government services. I kept asking around, what's the best, right, women's networking group to join, right? Women in business, women in tech. I, was going to different meetings, and I did not realize, I did not expect that I would end up working in gaming when I moved here, which sounds silly moving to Vegas, but I was kind of sent out here by Insight Global to diversify the industry. But after hearing so many recommendations of Global Gaming Women, I was like, I've never touched a slot machine, but let's check it out. I'll just see what this organization's about. Met Sue Schneider in one of my first networking events. She asked me to host a career fair at the first consumer-facing sports betting conference, Insight Global's recruiting and professional services firm. And that is what launched, right, my career in the casino gaming industry. And from there, I joined Lean In Circles. Erica Goldstein was one of my first moderator for my Lean In Circle and is now one of my best friends. I did the W Leadership Development Conference with Cecily, which is where we met. And gosh, we had the best group, Stephanie Barrett, Fiona Power, obviously Cecily, Cassie Brickman, Ashley Unga, so many amazing people who were all, still good friends and really big supports of each other, and many more. And then became membership committee co-chair with Kate White. And then because of my connection to Cecily, who introduced me to Lauren, I joined the podcast and we're now on season 3. So I'm so grateful for Global Gaming Women. It's the reason that I joined the industry. And it's also the reason I stayed in Vegas, due to professional development and, professional mentorship, but also the amazing friends that I've been able to make throughout the organization too.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So, what advice would any of you ladies give to someone brand new into gaming? They just signed up. We're working on getting our 10,000th member. So what do you want to say to that 10,000th member of Global Gaming Women?
I mean, I think the message that resonated with Cecily is the perfect message. Just kind of like, step outside of your comfort zone and don't, get out of your head and just kind of get into some of these sessions to be able to kind of participate. I really do feel like a lot of times, as women, we have this internal dialogue in our head saying what we can't do instead of what we can. And so I really feel like leaning in to the opportunity and really saying like, what's the worst that could happen and just going for it.
I have to second that because I know when I had gotten started, it was very much in my head that if I was not in an executive position, I couldn't make a difference. Mm-hmm. And I was a manager at the time, that I finally kind of stepped out of my comfort zone, stepped into something with GGW and started with the programming. And I really think like there's no better statement than, you don't have to be an executive. You can make a difference. You do inspire people when you participate. And it's worth giving a shot. Like it's a step outside of your comfort zone and it could be a life-changing one.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that professional development, everything that Cecily explained, like getting out of your comfort zone and all of that, that is professional development, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be that catalyst, right? That will catapult you into that next level of your career by getting out of your comfort zone. But I would definitely just say, to anyone who is new to the gaming industry or interested in, getting into the gaming industry, Global Gaming Women is such a great place to start, right? Like I was saying, it's the reason that I am here. And one of the things that I've been so pleasantly surprised by, and I just think it's so amazing, is how tight-knit the gaming industry is, especially the women within the gaming industry. And Global Gaming Women is such a huge part of that, right? I think it's such a unique organization where so many women, like Jan Jones Blackhurst and Christy Eichelman, Brandy Ellis, Laura Pacini, so many more, talk about how they didn't necessarily have the community that we now have with Global Gaming Women when they were early in their career. And so they wanted to create that. and they have. And they're truly the type of leaders that, right, the type of mentality where once they get up to, leadership and success, they are so willing to, put their hand back down to lift up others. And that's the culture, right, that has been created within this organization, which is permeated throughout the entire industry. And I just feel so lucky to work in gaming and be a part of, GGW because of that culture and that uplifting mentality that, makes such a big difference in terms of the professional development and the empowerment of, all members of all levels.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's some fantastic advice for me, for the 10,000th member, for the 20,000th member once we get there, right? So tell me, what is your favorite aspect of GGW? Bronwen, let's start with you. I'm gonna put you on the spot. What is the best thing? What's your go-to?
There are so many. But I feel like the first thing that jumps into my mind is how exciting and exhilarating it is anytime that you go to any sort of industry event and you are just surrounded by your Global Gaming Women, right, community. It is so cool how we all gravitate towards each other when we're in those environments. We totally take over. And to be able to have that community, right, when you're going to an industry event, whether, it's one of your first events, whether it's your first time speaking, whether, the whole room, to have that, base, that camaraderie and that, just hands down ability to uplift each other and, build each other up. It's really, really powerful. So being in those larger industry environments where we get to see that camaraderie of GGW is one of my favorite things. And I love to celebrate it.
Awesome. Go for it.
Okay, I can go next. I feel like it's the relationships. I can say two of the closest, my closest friends I've met through GGW, through that too. And we continue to be a rock for each other. We've kind of through position changes, life changes, all the types of things, like we show up for each other in ways that are beyond just kind of professional. And I think that's the piece that's important. I hear that story so many times and time again of people that have found their people, like their circle of friends, that have been able to support them beyond just the professional. And so I do feel that is something that I really, really like. And I think also, Bronwen touched on it, just people show up. I was speaking on a panel last week, and I just made a post before just saying that, I'm doing something that I've never done before. And Christy Eichmann, exactly, she reached in and she came to the panel, and I saw her in the audience, and it was like my anchor, my person. And she smiled, and afterwards she said, "I saw your post and I knew I had to come here to support you." And I was sitting at my desk and I was like, "No, I'm going there." And I really appreciate that, because it's not just kind of the, pushing you forward for kind of opportunities, but it's just showing up and kind of being that face in the crowd when you need that person, or having that connection with kind of those people that will kind of take you and kind of be with you kind of when things get hard and celebrate when things are great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that fan club. We end up with that Global Gaming Women fan club at industry events and tangential events. I just put on an event for Insight Global, and both Cecily and Anika were there. So many other people from Global Gaming Women. So yeah, we get that fan club, that support, and it's just so genuine, wanting to see, each other be successful. It's really special, and it's beyond, the regular programming of the organization. So I think that's super well said.
I have to agree. I think the community, the bonds that you build, they're unmatched. Like, my lean-in circle is probably a group of my best friends. This group for the podcast are some of my favorite people in the entire world. Would go to the end of the earth for all of them, because at some point in the last few years, as life goes through life, they've done the same for me. And I don't think I've ever had that sense of community in a professional platform. And that's something that GGW has been able to provide outside of the incredible education opportunities, outside of the mentorship and the just general belief in what can be achieved for women as an overall goal, because we are underrepresented. We are, I guess, less seen in male-dominated industries than our counterparts, right? So it's really great to see women supporting women and even the allies, and just having that sense of, that the next time you see this person, you're going to be so excited and so thrilled. And there's always just this positive energy that comes from it. And everybody's just so wonderful. And the programming is definitely the huge bonus to it all, right? But definitely the community that it builds.
No, and Cecily, I like you mentioned allies, and I think that's something that has been very positive to see, just the growth of kind of the men that actually do show up and show up consistently. I think we were at one of, I think it was at IGA kind of a few months ago, and we had a GGW kind of network mixer. And for the first time, like, we had this whole great picture, and I think it's probably circulating on some of the social about all of the men that kind of showed up. And we're being part of that. And we got a chance to capture that, because sometimes we don't always do that, but it's very nice to see, and it's growing. And it's also nice to see when you see the consistency of people that you've seen year over year that are coming up, showing up and being supportive.
Quick shout out to Andrew Burke, by the way, because his episode on allyship is still one of my favorites that we've filmed in the studio so far.
Yes.
And I can say, as someone coming in new, the community is phenomenal. Like, I had my interview with Brandy Ellis and Samantha Huff-Schuler, and as after that interview, I got hired, and they have been like right there every step of the way. I walk into a room when there's 30, 40 powerful women, and I'm like, this is my first board meeting, and I'm getting hugs.
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal. So I shout out to GGW and everything that we do, because the community is very, very important.
Yeah. And I think it's such an intangible, right? Because there are a lot of women in X industry groups, and there are a lot of those women in X industry groups that have a similar mission, right, to GGW, a similar programming schedule. But there is something really intangible about that extra element that creates this atmosphere, creates this culture and this community that we're talking about. And I think it's so special. And I personally think that it comes from examples, right, from the top, the leadership and founders, like, leading by example. But it is really so beyond, right, just the mission and the programming, which a lot of networking, industry associations have. There's something really special about, what we have here.
Great. Absolutely. All right. So, pie in the sky, what do you want to see out of the next 10 years? You have a couple millions of dollars, and you can do anything that you want. What are you doing in GGW? Not just your personal.
Yeah, I got excited for a second.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
we're moving to Bali.
Yeah.
No, with GGW. What are you doing?
I think I definitely want to see it expand. I know kind of having been here in Vegas Central, and then now being in working for a tribe, Master Tech and Pequot Tribal Nation, I'm wanting to be able to see a bigger emphasis and focus on how do we bring in more diverse communities and making them feel welcome and seen. And I think we've started some of those things to do, but I feel like there's so much more opportunity there. And then, really the international, one of the things that we talked about when we first started, that we're global gaming women. And so in this past year or 2 years, I've definitely seen it expand. But the more we do, there's so many other countries and so many other places that are very interested and really kind of itching to get involved. And so figuring out if there is a more systematic way that we can bring in kind of just a kind of more kind of diverse group into this universe.
Yeah, I agree. When I was co-chair for the membership committee, I was part of the original brainstorming and conceptualizing like how we're going to do more of our regional networking events to bring in, and really engage different demographics throughout the world that, maybe it's a skill set, right? Maybe they're in a role that doesn't necessarily always go to the gaming industry conferences, right? Maybe they're, sitting in a Midwest state and, they're in finance. So maybe they're not going to G2E, right? Or whatever the trade trade show is where GGW would usually activate. And so figuring out ways to engage more of those different regional groups, as well as different countries, and to be determined what that looks like, if that's chapters, if, that's, different regional affiliates, whatever that ends up being. But I think exactly engaging that geographical diversity more intentionally is something that I would really love to see us evolve into.
I think we're all on the same page here, because I know for Lean In, one of the big goals is to continue to diversify and engage those international spaces, offer more to our regional spaces, more options to connect in person when possible, things of that nature. So I would love to see it where we get to a point where we've grown so much in that space that we can actually have localized circles in each country, where they're not having to meet remotely, join via the internet, right? Because then it can on occasion feel more like a meeting than a connection. And they have to work twice as hard to make that functional. So how do we improve upon that? So these are all things that I would love to see, like coming from that aspect of the committees and the mentorship side, right? To see that continued growth in the regional and international space, to give those same opportunities that like the local individuals have to those resources.
And
I think on top of that too, more development conferences, because they are amazing, right? Yeah. Cecily and I were in that cohort of the W Leadership Development Conference in, September of 2022. Yeah. Still to this day, right? 4 years later, still one of the most pivotal professional moments in my life. I'm so excited to be doing the Executive Ascent soon, the next level of that leadership conference. But I know, right, sometimes schedules are crazy and, there are only a few a year. Maybe people can't make all of them. So to see them more, consistent, I think would be so valuable for our membership. They're amazing.
And I think finally, my technology brain can't get out of, and I know it's probably not practical because there's so many other social kind of networks, et cetera, but I keep on feeling like, how can we expand the platform so that I keep on thinking about Facebook, but make it for global gaming women, or kind of something like that, where you have this kind of platform that allows people to connect in a very real way, where you're creating community online, you're doing some of these other things too. And a lot, because I look at Facebook, it evolved from university students trying to connect. And so I feel like, what is the next evolution of what that looks like? And why can't we be at the forefront of being able to help create and facilitate something like that?
Oh, I'm going to jot that one down.
I love that so much.
So if anyone wants to help us build that, please reach out.
Claude can help us.
Calling all innovators and creators, please.
To all of our women in gaming technology.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Help us.
All right. Share your favorite GGW memory. What comes to mind? You're just like, that's GGW, that one 10-second, 20-second moment.
Oh gosh. Okay. I know this one for certain. I was sitting in a meeting at work. I was working from home. My phone goes off and it says Patty Becker.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, this has to be a mistake. And I remember getting on the call with her, and she was telling me that I was being honored in the 2024 roundup. And I was like, there's so many more people who deserve this. And she goes, oh no, you deserve it. It's okay. Yeah. Own your moment. And I was like, did Patty Becker just tell me to own my moment? So everything from that phone call leading up to that season of G2E, running the first podcast at G2E, just that whole 2024 October, specific to global gaming women, was just, I'll never forget it. It sticks in my mind forever as this uplifting moment. Okay, I didn't have to hit my executive moment. Like I was saying earlier, you don't have to be an executive to make a difference. And that forever has stuck with me.
Fantastic.
No, that is a great moment, because I think I remember that time too. And I think it was the first time, I think it was that when we had the big GGW kind of fair game podcast buttons. Yeah. And that was the first time someone actually came up to me and was like, hey, I listened to your podcast. And I was like, people listen to our podcast?
I thought we were just talking to each other.
Exactly. Because we were just kind of, so I think that was nice too. I think, kind of being part and being honored by kind of for Kick Up Your Heels is a great memory. The one that immediately came to me is we had a board meeting. And so Erica Guzman, we were in Oklahoma. And so we kind of had this team building after kind of our conference where we all made cowboy hats. And so she had them come in and we got fitted and, in advance and get the cowboy hats. And then we all kind of designed them and we have all these great pictures. And I don't know why that was just like a great moment for me, because it was one of those things too, where you kind of take in like all the programming and all the things that you need to do, but also at the core of it, there's like this sisterhood and there's this fellowship. And I kind of felt that, especially beyond the board, things can get intense and, we all are very, very passionate about what are the things that we can do to move things forward. But in that moment, it just kind of felt like we were all just kind of out and kind of having this amazing time. And so I always think back to that memory. And I think it's still probably my profile picture on my social media, my cowboy hat.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of similar to Cecily. I had a time where it was like a bunch of compounding things all happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. It was fall of 2022. And it's when we had our first W Leadership Development conference. So the one that I've already mentioned with all the amazing people. And it was just so pivotal and, transformative professionally. And then I was also surprised to be recognized as one of the first people in the first cohort of 10 Women Rising. And I was just not expecting it. It was just such a beautiful affirmation of potential that just came out of nowhere. And I was just so grateful for, that recognition of what I had been working on. And then at that same time, I was able to lead my first event after I joined the membership committee. And so it was at Legacy Club. It was like the weekend right after the W Leadership Development Conference. And it went so well. And I was so empowered and grateful to be, trusted with the ownership of running that event, even though I'd only been with the organization for a couple of years. And so, it was that compounding time. And that was the time actually that I was supposed to move. I was only supposed to be in Vegas for 2 years. And I was supposed to move in fall of 2022 to Atlanta, where Insight Global is headquartered. And that series of events kind of all in a row, I remember I took myself on like a little date, just myself for a weekend. And I was like, I'm not leaving this. Like, this is amazing. And it was because of GGW that I decided to stay in Vegas and in the industry. So definitely a favorite, little chapter there, I would say, that GGW was instrumental in.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a page out of your book, Bronwen. I hope this is okay. I feel like no one has ever asked, what is the best compliment you have ever received? And how did it impact your life? Because I feel like you guys asked that of everyone else.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to throw it to you first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Shannon. That's so fun. It's like a reverse Uno.
Exactly.
Okay. My answer is so silly and small. And that's actually why I love the power of the compliment question, is that it can be the tiniest 2-second thing that ends up being, this really big light bulb moment. So mine's so silly. I didn't even know the person. I was at a nail salon back in Virginia, my nail salon that I always go to. And, I would always go every 6 weeks, to my same tech. And I loved her, Lenny. And we were just sitting there chatting, and I was chatting with the person next to me. I don't even know what I was chatting about. And this stranger came up to me from the other side of the salon before she left. And she was like, I just wanted to let you know you have the most beautiful energy. She was like, whatever you're doing, whatever light you're bringing, just keep doing it. You have the best energy. And I just wanted to let you know. And I literally cried. I was like, what? I didn't even know this person. I'm in my sweatpants. And what I loved about that moment and what has stuck with me for so many years later is that I realized that I didn't have to try. Right. Mm-hmm. And that was a really big light bulb moment for me. I was like, oh, I don't have to try. I don't have to perform. I don't have to, get all dressed up and try to, be something that somebody want me to be or people want me to be. Just being myself in my sweatpants, having a random conversation can still be, a beautiful impact on the world. And it was really refreshing, and it's stuck with me forever. So compliments to strangers are very important.
There you go.
Oh, Okay. Well, first of all, your energy is always amazing.
Yes.
I have to say that.
Yeah.
But it's funny. So I was listening to an episode of the podcast a couple weeks ago, and an old coworker had given me a compliment, and I was like, if I were to answer Bronwen's question ever in my life, this is my answer.
There you go.
And I shared it on social media, so I'll share it here as well. I was at a retirement event for an old coworker. I ran into a colleague that I'm still very close with, and he said, "Oh my God, you look like a different person." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I've lost like 100 pounds." And he's like, no, your aura is different. Like, you seem calmer, you seem happier, you don't look stressed out and drained. And this is following a much needed career pivot, right? In the last few months. And so like, I realized like somebody being able to see that me putting that choice to put my mental health, my wellness, my prioritization of myself for probably the first time in my life first. And having them see like a positive value from it outside of just the value that I found from it, right? Yeah. It was like that eye opener that, hey, this was actually like the juice was worth the squeeze, right? Mm-hmm. And it was the best decision I could have made. And it just kind of reinforced that like your wellness matters and it's okay to put you first. And so I don't know, just hearing that, you know, you look like a new person. Mm-hmm. I feel like in that moment, that is the best thing that I could have heard.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And that's so powerful too, because of the meaning behind it.
Yes.
You know, it's not even necessarily the compliment itself. It's how you internalize that and what it meant for what you had been prioritizing in your life.
Yes.
That's really beautiful.
So I had a friend tell me that I feel like sunshine. And so
you too. You are sunshine.
And I was like, oh, so I kind of thought that was sweet and always kind of think about that. But what I feel that like listening to these three compliments, and we want to hear yours too.
Oh, no.
Yes. So just get ready.
Yes.
Is that they feel like, you know, they're not talking about like what you have, you know, it's not about, you know, oh, like you made this amount of money or you kind of got this job or you got that. It's really like the things that resonate more are the things that, because we know kind of the work and the energy that it put in, it's kind of the self-worth pieces of it that help you know, shine through when someone, you know, and then someone sees and recognizes it. And so I think that's kind of an interesting, you know, kind of acknowledgement that, you know, the things that made us say, wow, that was the best compliment had nothing to do with what our personal career accomplishments were. But we'd love to hear yours.
Yes.
Beautifully said, Anika.
I don't know that mine's necessarily a compliment, but I take it as a compliment in that I've pivoted a lot in my life. And I always come in and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, yeah, you got this. You can figure it out. And I feel like the moment when a mentor or someone that I view as more advanced than me turns around and asks me my opinion or my contribution, and it's not just like, well, what do you think in that like coaching way? It's a legitimately like I
want to know
what are you going to do about it? What are you thinking about it? And I had that moment just the other day. I was in a meeting. I hung up from the meeting and my mentor called me and he was like, hey, what do I do in this situation? And I was like, why are you asking me? And he was like, because you know this stuff. You know it better than I do at this point. Like, what do I do? And that's the compliment to me that's very much like, okay, I've made it in this aspect of my life. Okay, I'm not the imposter that we all think that we are kind of for a second. Yeah, that's my greatest compliment, I think.
No, I mean, I love it because it's like a full circle moment and it's acknowledgement of like, once again, what you kind of the growth that you've had, kind of that personal growth that you've kind of put in to say that, wow, I've kind of made it to this point where this person that I've always leaned in for advice now kind of sees me almost as a peer and equal and is asking me an equal point for how I feel. And so, yeah,
it's like a promotion.
It's
almost.
Absolutely.
You got promoted to peer. You're no longer mentee. You are now peer. And that's just a phenomenal feeling.
Absolutely.
It's a good one.
All right. Last call. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about for the 10-year anniversary? Anything, well wishes, anything like that?
I mean, I think I'm just so excited for this next generation. I think the current board, and you're probably testament, you work with them all the time. I just love the energy and the excitement and the momentum that I see. And so I feel like the legacy of GGW is in very, very good hands with this new batch of leaders. And I think I just want to wish them all of the luck and know that we are kind of here continually supporting them as we move the organization forward.
Yes.
I love that. I second what Anika says, because we could not, as volunteers, as board members, as participants, do the things that we do without the work that's being done behind the scenes. So thank you to everybody who does that. And second, I think take the leap. If you haven't joined, if you haven't decided that you want to be part of a committee, you're on the fence, you're not sure if you want to go to that conference, you're not sure if you want to moderate a lean-in circle.
We need more of those, by the way.
Yes.
You know, you want to be a guest on the Fair Game podcast, since I'm good for name dropping that.
Yes, please.
You know, take the leap, make the change, go for it, because you can't grow you can't grow inside of your comfort zone. You have to grow outside.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. And I would just add to that, right? It's what you make of it, right? So lean in. Oh, well, oh my gosh, I didn't even mean it, but no irony,
No
but
pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But no, seriously, lean in, right? It's what you make of it. There's no exact playbook of, how to get the most out of your membership. It's what's going to be personal to you. It's what offerings, what programming is going to resonate with you. So really like take that step into it. Don't, wait around for something to happen to you just because you signed up to, be a member and get emails, right? Put yourself out there. And to Cecily's point, get out of your comfort zone. And that's where the real magic of membership really happens.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that's it. Thank you.